All right, a very good morning to you. Still the morning crossfire right here on 99.3 Nigerian 4. My name is Kofi Bartels. I asked earlier how many of you have tried to buy petrol this morning, from the petrol stations following what we had yesterday, where the new prices by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited in cities like Lagos and Abuja, asked if you, had gotten petrol at the new prices we hear. Last I heard from the NNPCL, they quoted by a publication, I'm sure it's Daily Post or one of the papers I need to check, which said they had an exclusive conversation with Mr. Shonoye, who is the spokesperson of the NNPC. He says he does not know, he's not aware of the new petrol pump price. So what exactly is going on? Some of you have confirmed that you're paying more for petrol. You did that yesterday and today. So if you've gone out to buy petrol, please share the information with us. Let's know what you're buying for. Well, yesterday, President Bola Tinubu, in a bid to solve the problems Nigerians are having to face in buying petrol, just petrol, met with the owner of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, the chairman of the Dangote Group, and members of the presidential committee overseeing the Naira for crude oil program. They have a committee for that. And so they met, and of course, Aliko Dangote had some things to say about the entire situation. We'll look at all that, looking at the current petrol scarcity, albeit it's not there as it used to be before, and looking at the price of petrol, why it's not going down, why it keeps going up, and all that. But let's introduce our guest this morning. He's an economist, and he joins us via phone call right here on the Morning Crossfire. He's been here before now. He's not just an economist, he's an agro expert. He's an expert in different areas when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, economics, and agriculture. Kelvin, Emmanuel, good morning to you. It's good to have you on the Morning Crossfire.
Good morning, Kofi. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, fantastic. Let's start by looking at the lawsuit which Aliko Dangote and the Dangote Group had regarding one or two issues in the oil and gas sector. The man said that the lawsuit has been overtaken by time. Some people have different views on this. What's your view on Dangote's lawsuit? In fact, the latest, I think I saw an article in the papers yesterday where it was said that the lawsuit betrayed monopolistic intent. What do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting because it's important for us to reference the Petroleum Industry Act, Section 317 of the PIA, that specifically states in Sections 317.8 that the authority might apply a backward integration policy where there is a commercial refiner in Nigeria that is operational and active, and where the refiner has the capacity to produce transportation fuels, or what they call white fuels. The government should not give import licenses to companies to import products if there is capacity. So it's based on the Petroleum Industry Act. So, okay. For example, several months ago when Dangote Oil Refining Company decided to, initiate a lawsuit to effect the Petroleum Industry Act, it was doing it within the ambit of the law. But events have overtaken that development. The president set up a technical subcommittee to look into Naira-based crude sales. In October, there's been 4 cargo deliveries, even if it's short of what was promised for the month of October to the refinery. Sections 317.11 also talked about what they call the AFRI-5 specification. Basically, it was a declaration that was made by the Economic Committee of West African States, ECOWAS, in February 2020 at the convention they had. And they basically said that they are setting up a minimum standard, like every other region in the world does. The European Union has a standard. They call it the EN standard in the European Union for the 27 member states. In the United States of America, they have a standard that governs the activities of the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. And they have a gasoline testing standard called American Society for Testing and Materials, which is a global standard for gasoline testing. It's the most recognized and accepted standard that says that the sulfur level for the PMS or diesel you use should not be more than 50 parts per million in ECOWAS, according to the Article 5 agreement that was signed in February of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when you look at the fact that, you've seen tests in Nigeria done on the PMS that is imported into Nigeria, and the sulfur level shows is more than 1,000 parts compared to the 50 ppm that is specified by ECOWAS and the Nigerian regulator,
okay,
then you understand that health-wise, it's not even healthy for Nigerians to consume the PMS that's imported into this country, because a lot of it is actually transshipped and blended.
Okay.
It's off-spec petrol.
But isn't that for Nigeria
perfectly in line with the PIA? Okay,
but shouldn't that be for Nigerians to decide? I mean, if a player in the industry is going ahead to sue, the federal government, the NNPC, let's call it that, making allegations to NMDPRA and all that, some will say that these are underhand tactics. In fact, some have alleged that these are underhand tactics.
The government is not above being sued. It's the law. Well, like I said, the events have overtaken. The government has come to the table. There's progress in terms of cooperation with the PIA. Basically, the president has directed, as at last count yesterday, has directed for the recommendations of the committee to be enforced. And it shows, record shows that against what some people have sent out to the media, which is false information, that the refinery actually has up to 500 million liters of PMS that has been refined, stored. So why is there scarcity in Nigeria?
All right.
To ask NNPC.
That's $1 million question. Why there's scarcity in Nigeria? But let's start from the meeting. The president met with, amongst other people, Wale Edun, who is the Minister of Finance. They call him the coordinating Minister of the Economy. The chairman of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, the commission chairman. He also met with the NMDPRA head, the NNPCL head, and others, along with Aliko Dangote. What are your thoughts on this whole Naira for crude program or committee? And why did the president need to have a meeting, to resolve whatever issues that had to be resolved? Well,
Kofi, I'll be very honest with you when I tell you that the body language NNPC has shown is very obvious that they are not willing to end the importation of PMS into Nigeria. And if you consider the fact, Kofi, that NNPC currently, as we speak, they owe $6.8 billion to international traders that bring in PMS into Nigeria through what they call, in that oil and gas commercial contracting terms, they call it modified carrier agreements, where Nigeria gives crude oil cargoes in exchange for PMS, the crude oil swap. NNPC did not have the crude oil feedstock to give to the traders. They didn't have the cash to pay, and they are owing money. And that was why in September, early September, you had very biting fuel queues across Nigeria because you didn't have enough supply to go around the country. Now you have a commercial refiner in Lagos who has started refining. And there's PMS, there's diesel, there's Jet A1 and some other non-transportation fuels. Okay, take from him. Why are you not taking from him? The president basically came in to resolve, can we set up a commercial framework through which the state oil company and the marketers can take PMS from the refinery in Lagos? And that's what he's done. They set up a technical subcommittee that will ensure that Dangote doesn't continue importing heavy crude from the US and Brazil like it was doing several months ago when the refinery started operations, and thereby placing pressure on the FX markets in Nigeria. They set up a commercial agreement, a framework, a technical framework that will see that because Nigeria has what they call the crude intervention stock. It's 445,000 barrels of crude oil daily that is allocated to domestic refineries under what they call the Domestic Crude Oil Supply Obligations, Sections 109 of the Petroleum Industry Act of 2021. It says that the government should guarantee that commercial refiners that have licenses that are active are guaranteed a feedstock from the production of Nigeria. It doesn't make sense that you're a major oil producing country, a member of OPEC, and you're importing crude oil from the US that was actually importing from Nigeria back in 2008 and 2009. So that technical framework is meant to give crude oil feedstock to the Dangote refinery under the crude oil intervention stock to ensure that it doesn't import crude. And in turn, he supplies the market in Nigeria. But then the question becomes, with Naira at 1,730 today, what exchange rate? Is it like the exchange rate based on which you'll be giving? Because, it's supposed to give you Naira. I hear rumors that not all the percentage of the volume will be sold in Naira, some will be sold in dollars, some will be sold in Naira. What exchange rate are you applying that Naira? Is it pegged? Is it floating? Are there forwards that will be applied to the contract to ensure that if crude oil price goes up from where it is currently because of the tensions in the Middle East, that it will not have significant impact? So what are the basic integrity and the commercial terms in that agreement, that MOU between the refinery and the government? That's what we should probe, and that's what will determine the pricing framework for it.
All right. Interestingly, talking about this, local crude oil stock meant to be given more than 400,000 barrels a day. And one wonders why it wasn't given in the first place, because you also think about the oil swap deals that Nigeria engaged in the days of Buhari, and then also mortgaging Nigeria's crude oil for loans ahead of time in the time of Buhari. All these things come into play. You're saying that Nigeria has right now enough crude to give a Dangote refinery. But we hear that two ships bettered yesterday with crude oil at the Apapa port, or Lagos port, I think Apapa and Tinkan. I need to be sure which in particular. Okay, at the ENL Consortium terminals in Apapa Bok, at the Apapa Bok terminal, among other terminals in Lagos, we hear that they are expecting 7 more, with crude oil. So when will this stop? Because it's crazy for a lot of people listening. It doesn't make sense that Nigeria is importing crude oil.
Kofi, I have to give you an historical background of this issue. I have to give you an historical background. Between 2019 and 2024, NNPC has borrowed $12 billion. Yes? And what that means is that a portion of whatever is produced under the crude intervention stock is used to service loans. So I need to correct something you said. Currently, NNPC doesn't have I wouldn't say they don't have the capacity. They are not able to supply the Dangote refinery with 650,000 barrels of crude oil that he needs, which is what they are supposed to do. Yeah. So you have a situation, for example, where upstream issues like the lack of investment in brownfields and greenfields, stranded assets, you have insecurity, you have, in my opinion, diversion of crude oil from wellheads before it gets to the flow stations, because everybody focuses on flow station to terminal. I say there's a problem from wellhead to flow station, and there's a need to apply wellhead meters at the flow station, at the wellhead, to ensure that you can fiscalize and automate the entire process for monitoring the amount of crude oil, gas, and water that comes out when you drill crude oil, to estimate accurately and ensure that you don't have stealing of crude oil at the source. Okay, there is that issue. You have the fact that a lot of the IOCs are divesting from onshore. They are going into deep water. There are no fiscal frameworks or incentives for them to actually invest in Nigeria, particularly because, when you have the government own 60% of the 100% in deep water, deep offshore, and the government is not able to put up its own side of the capital contribution to do the field development, and then it has to rely on these companies, and the companies apply what they call a carry. And it takes time for NNPC to pay them their JV cash calls when NNPC takes its own share of the oil, and they are owed for years without an interest on it. They become frustrated and they don't want to invest.
All right.
So
interesting. So
these are issues. These are the reasons why Nigeria cannot increase its production.
But what is the NNPC?
These are the reasons why it's difficult for NNPC to pay its debt.
So what did the NNPC go for these loans for more than $12 billion? For what? Because it's meant to be a revenue-generating agency.
If you look at the fact sheet, you have things like in 2019, NNPC borrowed money to finance the payment of the capital contribution for Train 7. Train 7 is the part of the development NLNG is doing to increase the output for liquefied natural gas from 22 million tons per annum to 30 million tons per annum.
That's in River State.
Yes, in River State has a capacity of 8 million. Now, normally NNPC should have the money to contribute for it. Didn't have the money. So they did what they call like a modified carrier agreement where they bring in, the Multilateral Development Bank. They tie a well that is producing to the loan. The cash is advanced to NNPC to meet up its capital contribution. And then on a daily basis after moratorium, crude oil goes in for repayment for that loan that is collected. Then you have things like vendor financing, which you typically do and normally do to finance the importation of PMS into Nigeria. You have things like, for example, in 2022, when NNPC invested 7.2%, they bought 7.2% stake in the Dangote refinery. They didn't have the cash. They're supposed to have the cash. They didn't have the cash. They did the similar arrangement.
So where's all the cash that NNPC, or the US dollars, I'm talking about hard currency, fiscal, they've made Kofi, since inception, where has it gone to?
Kofi, this is a good question, and this is the reason why I've always told the Nigerian government to break NNPC. You need a situation, Kofi, where you can have the Federal Executive Council direct for the Ministry of Petroleum and NNPC to start a preliminary phase of feasibility on what it would take for them to go to an IPO. You need to unbundle NNPC. The markets need to determine who becomes Group Chief Executive Officer, Group CFO, Executive Vice President, who gets to the board of NNPC, who becomes the chairman of the board. The government, you cannot have a situation where government is appointing chairman of NNPC and GC of NNPC, and then you expect that things will work. It will not work. It's like the government coming to appoint the chairman of a bank, and you think it will work. It will not work because over time, historically, the government has proven itself to be a bad manager of business. It's just the way it is.
All right. So we can account for we can't.
All the four refineries. Yeah. You said?
Yeah, go on.
All the four government-owned refineries that are dead, they are dead because after Shell and British Petroleum delivered the refineries back to the Nigerian government, they were poorly run. Nigerian Airways has the same story. In 2006, when Dangote and Femi Otedola set up a consortium called Blue Star to acquire the Port Harcourt refinery, they won the bid, then that bid was reversed in 2007. That was going to be the saving grace for those government-owned refineries that are currently moribund and are beyond repair. But they didn't take it. So you have a situation today, Kofi, where Nigeria cannot account accurately for the crude oil that goes as share to NNPC. You have a situation where NNPC has thousands of staff, but they can't show you actually what they produce in terms of output in dollars from oil and gas production and sales. NEPL, that is the exploration and production arm of NNPC, that's supposed to be the most profitable and lucrative today, is not able to go up to 200,000 barrels of crude oil. And you have thousands of staff in the NNPC. So if you don't unbundle it and make it a purely commercial entity that is not subject to the whims and caprices of the dealer, nothing is going to work.
All right. Kelvin, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with you because we have a lot of more questions to ask. And, of course, we will definitely have to throw the lines open. Our listeners can call in either of our WhatsApp or the main phone lines to have a question or contribution each. 020127709930, 020127709930. We're asking our guest this morning a core question. Why is petrol still scarce in Nigeria despite deregulation? And we'll get to the heart of that when we come back from the break, as well as trying to understand what's happening with Dangote refinery and the federal government. Please stay with us till the morning crossfire.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back. Looking for ways to overcome challenges in your career journey? The perfect time to step into a world of opportunity is now. At Markets for You, a trusted, well-renowned online training company with over 17 years of experience and customers spread across the globe. Discover a new way to earn and learn by copying top traders from around the world. No previous experience required. If you're over 18, you can start earning profits from the comfort of your home today. Visit www.marketsforyou.com or call 0912-779-0500, 0912-779-0500 today to start your journey towards financial independence with Markets for You.
Oh, Michelle, you're the God of awesome.
Matthew 5:7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Lagos, it's happening again. Join us this November as God's people gather for a special night of worship, wonders, and salvation as the Holy Ghost Christian Center presents Night of Mercy 2024. Coming up on Friday, November 8th, 2024. Time, 9 p.m. till dawn. Venue, The Solution Arena, 156 Ikorodu Road, Onikpan, Lagos. Ministering, Nathaniel Bassi, Efe Nathan, Yinka Lasheyori, Lillian Neji, Victor Thompson, Charles Uzochukwu, and the Paracletes Mass Choir. Host Dr. Amos Fenwa. For more details, call 0802 586 1483. Night of Mercy 2024. Come and receive God's mercy.
Well man and well woman.
Are you tired and run down? Well Man and Well Woman from Vitabiotics UK provide your one-a-day capsules with all the benefits for healthy living.
Well Man has been specially developed for men to maintain general health and vitality.
Well Woman is a blend of minerals and vitamins at optimal levels, specifically designed for busy modern women.
Make a healthy change today with Well Man and Well Woman. Available in all good pharmacies nationwide.
Health and vitality.
Are you an innovator, creator, or tech enthusiast? The .NG Expert Awards 2024 is finally here. Join us for an exciting two-day conference, exhibition and award ceremony hosted by the Nigerian Internet Registration Association NERA, happening at the Muson Center on Nikon, Lagos. Date, 28 to 29 November 2024. Time, 10 a.m. daily. Experience the best of Nigeria's tech and creative space at the Tech Convergence 1.0. With 10 engaging panel sessions, 25 plus industry-leading speakers, and an exhibition showcasing the latest innovation. For partnership and sponsorship, please call Bimbo on 0703 738 2738. For registration and to vote your favorite 7.ng award nominee, visit www.nera.org.ng/NG Expo 2024.
My ions, please, can't get enough. My ions, please, give it to me now. It go rehydrate you, yeah. Replenish your ions with Pocari Sweat. Rehydrate you faster, easy we observe. Pocari Sweat, give me some more. Pocari Sweat.
He done of trading himself. James, hello.
Susan, I beg. Say the wine meaning.
For where? You who no longer depend solely on your salary.
So you people trade and don't carry us along in this office, Abby?
Jerry, now you they talk like this? Who doesn't want an extra stream of income? But I'm still looking for better trading conditions, I beg. Fast execution of my trades and possibly an account where swap no go carry all my profits where I no know.
Guy, HFM.com.
For me, I wouldn't mind better spreads at all, and it won't be a bad idea to be able to make withdrawals in a flash.
All we want is transparency and great customer service.
Guys, I said HFM.com.
Which one is HFM.com again?
Switch to HFM today to enjoy ultra-fast execution, 1 to 2,000 leverage, tight spreads, swap-free, and more.
Guy, show us the way now.
Wait, are you sure deposits and withdrawals are sharp?
I said HFM.com. Visit www.hfm.com. HFM, online trading at its finest.
In the cooking game, you need a winning game plan. I'm not just talking about your fresh ingredients, utensils, or cooking skills. I'm talking about your choice of seasoning. Your game plan is incomplete without Maggi chicken flavor. Made with a flavorful formation of onions, celery, turmeric, it's the game changer. Elevate the taste of your everyday dishes with delicious rich chicken flavor. Oh yeah, let's go.
New Maggi chicken flavor, the game changer.
All right, family, let's take a moment to relive the magic moments of last Christmas at Pride Land 2, the Bamble Chronicles. What an absolute spectacle.
And the Pride Land talent show was out of this world. The performers were so talented. The apprehension of what's going to happen next was second to none.
I loved the games, especially the rope tango. It was so much fun. I can't wait to create even more memories this December.
Yes, my darling. This December will be monumental. Pride Land 3 will be a blast. I'm sure of it.
So, families out there, don't wait any longer. Book your package now and get the chance to pay small. Terms and conditions apply. For inquiries, please call 0803-3993-398 or 0705-582-9486.
Eco Hotels and Suites, nestling international standard with African hospitality.
No matter what I do, you love me unconditionally. You show up for me every day, no matter when I show you.
A mother's love is unconditional. Nothing serves this love better than a bowl of Indomie. So, show some love with Indomie.
Show me love. You show me love. I'm in love. Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop? And is it to stir?
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
Pocari Sweat. My ions, please, can't get enough. My ions, please, give it to me now. Pocari Sweat. It gon' rehydrate you, yeah. Replenish your ions with Pocari Sweat. Rehydrate you faster, easy we observe. Pocari Sweat. Give me some more. Pocari Sweat.
Looking for ways to overcome challenges in your career journey? The perfect time to step into a world of opportunity is now. At Markets for You, a trusted, well-renowned online trading company with over 17 years of experience and customers spread across the globe. Discover a new way to earn and learn by copying top traders from around the world. No previous experience required. If you're over 18, you can start earning profits from the comfort of your home today. Visit www.marketsforyou.com or call 0912-779-0500, 0912-779-0500 today to start your journey towards financial independence with Markets for You.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info. Live from the heart of Victoria Island, you're listening to your number one station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back. It's still the Morning Crossfire right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Why is petrol still scarce in the country? Why are there still queues out there at the petrol stations from time to time, despite deregulation or so-called full deregulation of the petroleum industry and Nigerians? Was this not meant to be the time when we see petrol everywhere? In fact, what we're told was that, we deregulate, and when we deregulate the price, there'll be competition, and then the prices, it'll push the price down. Believe that at your own risk. What are we seeing today? The price of crude oil is going down globally, and the price of petrol in Nigeria is going up. Anyway, welcome. It's the Morning Crossfire. My name is Kofi. Bartels, my guest this morning, Economist Kelvin Emmanuel. He joins us via phone from his base in the heart of the nation, Abuja. 020127700993. Please call, have your say on our conversation. 020127700993. As many Nigerians continue to express their frustration over the recent fuel hikes, lamenting that there is hunger, being power in the land. Some are beginning to take to social media to question why there should be fuel scarcity in spite of the hike in petrol price at the pump. Yesterday in the news, October 29, it was reported that the NNPCL, some people said federal government, some even said Tinubu, has taken the price of petrol up to 1,025 naira. The president has told you guys he's not in charge of that price. Leave him alone. But some people also not here. 1,025 naira per litre despite the falling crude prices. Like I said, the NNPCL spokesman Shonaya says he's not aware of the price increase. So yeah, that's what we have. In fact, in Abuja, we hear that NNPCL is selling at 1,060 naira. Now, this adjustment announced on Tuesday, or rather, that reported on Tuesday, marks the third price change in September and October 2024 as part of the government's deregulation policy, which allows prices to fluctuate based on supply and demand. Let me go over to Kelvin Emmanuel. Kelvin, thanks for staying with us through the break. What is your answer when you ask this question? Why are prices not going down despite deregulation, and why do we still have queues and scarcity despite deregulation? What do you say to that?
Kofi, I'll tell you this. Like in the pricing framework for PMS, it's important for us to clarify a few things, and it's important for us to put to bed the narratives that some elements in government want to, spread and place the blame of the price on the refiner. It's not. There are two major components that determine the price of petrol globally: price of crude oil and your exchange rate. Okay? So if you look at the pricing framework for gasoline in Nigeria, you have what they call the Platts. Now, if you sell crude oil to a refiner in US dollars, he's going to sell back petrol, diesel, jet A1, and any other derivative in dollars to you. That's just the way it works. Because you don't expect to sell crude oil to a commercial refiner and expect that he's going to sell petrol back to you in Naira. It doesn't work that way. And that's because you also have a very volatile exchange rate market in Nigeria. We don't have stability in the FX market. So you can't buy dollar for example, 1,730 today, and then, tomorrow you come back and you get it at 1,070. It might have gone to 1,780. Who is going to cover for the losses? So for example, for the non-deliverable forwards market that the central bank manages, they don't have liquidity to ensure that people can, build forward contracts into it to protect yourself against fluctuations and volatility. That's one situation. So you have the Platts. The Platts system is basically like the global pricing framework for gasoline divided by 1,341 liters per metric ton of PMS. You have the premium that is placed based on the grade of petrol that is being refined, the location of it. That is what they call the ex-gate or refinery price. Anything outside of that, you have the government that has built-in finance costs because NNPC doesn't have cash to buy product from the refiner. And you have to go to a bank to create what they call a letter of credit, an LC. There's a finance cost that the financial institution charges. NNPC passes that cost to the consumer. You have cost of shuttle for the vessel because Nigeria doesn't have pipelines to evacuate PMS from the refinery, so it has to use a vessel. And last week, Friday, you remember, 79 million liters of PMS was sent from the refinery in Lekki to the port in Apapa. Yes? Okay. There's a shuttle cost that comes with that. You have the cost for the bulk storage terminal. The bulk storage terminal are what they call the tank farms. It's $2.05 per metric ton.
Yeah, but sorry to interrupt you, Kelvin. Otedola told the tank farm owners to go and sell it as scrap. Now the Dangote refinery is here.
Well, because the model they've always run is on they expect anywhere between 1 billion and 1.5 billion liters of PMS to be imported into Nigeria. So they have tank farms built around the ports in Lagos to accept that product, hold it, and make profit based on the high and low cycles of pricing within the country. Okay, that model doesn't work. What the government is supposed to do, knowing fully well that Dangote was building a refinery, was reactivate the Atlas Cove and Musimi that will enable pipeline evacuation of, like it's done. It's global best practice. It's done in most parts of the world. Evacuate PMS through pipes to different terminals in Nigeria. The government hasn't done that. It didn't plan for the refinery. I don't know if some people in government weren't expecting Dangote to succeed, but it has. So how do you evacuate the PMS? That's not the fault of the refiner. The refiner is to ensure that he refines and delivers to the market. It's not his responsibility to evacuate PMS from the refinery in Lekki to different parts of Nigeria. It's not his responsibility.
All right.
It's the responsibility of the government.
So you're saying that all
if
this...
the government has not provided that infrastructure, you don't blame Dangote for it.
So you're saying all this
and
stuff...
You don't blame him for the fees that they've built in to ensure that you're able to take PMS through shuttle vessel or take it through the gantry from trucks, different parts of Nigeria. It's not his fault.
Okay, so you're
it's
saying
the fault of the government.
You're saying number one, this talk of competition will take the price down is balderdash. It's not true. Number two, if you said,
there are three major factors here, Kofi. The exchange rate. The exchange rate is spiraling out of control, and the central bank governor Cardozo had acknowledged it at the last NPC meeting that they've actually seen empirical evidence to support the fact that every time FAC is shared to states in Nigeria, the exchange rate drops because there is a link between FAC sharing and people in government buying dollars with FAC allocation and putting more pressure on the Naira.
So that the Naira drops.
That's a fact.
And the exchange rate rises.
The Naira drops.
Okay. All right.
And the exchange rate, so that affects the price of PMS, because if your PMS is priced based on Platts in US dollars, if the Naira drops, the cost of the PMS goes up.
All right.
You don't blame the commercial refiner for that. It's the government.
So you're saying that as long as we continue to have crude sold to Dangote refinery in US dollars, he will always sell back his petrol in dollars. But now we have this Naira for crude, program. Does this mean that the price of petrol or the cost of refining for Dangote will go down? Therefore, we'll have reduced petrol prices. Is that what you say? You expect?
Kofi, there are two things. The government has to guarantee that at least 400,000 barrels of crude oil is supplied daily to the refinery in dollars. Number one. The government has to peg the exchange rate. The central bank so far has not shown any sign that it wants the exchange rate to be pegged. I think at the last count, the difference between the official and black market is anywhere around 8 to 9%. The fluctuation in the market daily means that if you don't peg the exchange rate, even if you apply a Naira exchange rate, you will not be able to plan. So the government has to provide like a peg for the exchange rate and sell the crude oil to the refinery in Naira, like it's specified in sections 109 of the Petroleum Industry Act of 2021.
All right.
If you don't do that, it will be difficult for you to find a middle ground on which the refiner is able to supply you products in Naira. But let's see what the details of the commercial framework is in the technical cost subcommittee has set up, to know what the plan is for supplying some crude oil to the refiner in exchange for PMS or diesel.
So this is some, because you're saying that you don't think they can meet up with the 400 plus thousand barrels they need to.
They've not shown any indication that they're able to meet up. They were supposed to supply 12 million barrels of crude oil for the month of October. I'm aware that only 4 cargoes have been delivered. I'm not sure that within the last week we've added to those 4 cargoes that has been delivered. So,
All right. Kelvin, if you're there, I lost you, but if you can hear me. How about the drop in the price of crude oil, different, types of crude oil on the international market, tumbling, on Friday, for instance, and over the past few days, with the attack of Israel on Iran, the limited strikes of Israel on Iran. For instance, West Texas Intermediate tumbled from $71.78 to $68.01. Brent crude fell $76.05 to $72, because of this strike we hear on Iran. And do you think that these reductions or this drop in the crude oil price will affect what we have in here in Nigeria at the pump?
Kofi, so Israel came and bombed the air defenses of Iran refinery just to send a message to them that, look, we can get all your commercial installations and affect your national security. That was a net positive for crude oil because they were expecting markets were pricing a broader attack. And when it didn't do that, the prices crashed. But it's important for you to understand that Western Texas Intermediate always have like a $5 to $6 difference from Brent. Brent is the pricing framework that is used to calculate the daily fluctuations of lighter grade crude oil, which the Bonny Light, avocados, and all the other blends of crude oil that is refined, produced in Nigeria falls on that.
All right.
So Nigeria crude oil is actually priced according to Brent, not WTI. So there's a $5 to $6 variance between the price of heavier crude like WTI and Brent, or the crude oil that is produced in Nigeria. It's important to make that clarification. But the price of crude oil alone, which controls the Platts pricing framework for gasoline, is not the sole determinant for what the PMS prices will be in Nigeria. I mentioned to you that exchange rate is a major factor. As a matter of fact, Kofi, if, for example, the Central Bank of Nigeria is able to get its net external reserves up, they're able to meet up balance of payments, and they're able to supply the market. In my opinion, the market needs about $750 million every week in Nigeria. It supply the market like $4 billion a month that you need for everything from commercial capital and dividend remittances from and the likes. And the Naira appreciates to 1,000. You see the direct implication on the price of PMS.
All right. When you say the market needs it, is it through maybe CBN auctions or what?
The CBN does not have the liquidity because NNPC has not been remitting dollars. Since January 2024, NNPC has not remitted anything to the Federation account.
All right.
In fact, Kofi, the meetings that the government had in Washington, D.C. last week, I was made aware that the Minister of Finance and the Central Bank team are discussing with the IMF about possibly bailing out the NNPC for paying international oil traders. It's supposed to be the other way. NNPC is supposed to be bailing out the federal government, not the federal government bailing out NNPC.
All right. I asked about, it's really sad. I asked about the central, the liquidity, because we hear in today's papers that the World Bank is cautioning or telling the federal government to stop the ad hoc auctions of foreign currency. We have the Dutch auction and all that. I don't know if this is something that people should be happy about. The World Bank telling the federal government to stop ad hoc auctions of FX.
So basically, the World Bank is alluding to that because Nigeria is gradually moving from a pegged exchange rate system where it was plus or minus 3 naira per day. Else CBN will intervene when you had liquidity. Kofi, 10 years ago, CBN was remitting $30 billion. NNPC was remitting $30 billion to CBN every month. Yeah. That's about $36 billion a year to do balance of payment. Today, it's remitting less than $250 million a month. More than 90% drop. So that was the basis on which it was operating a fixed peg. It's moving from a fixed peg, it's now at a managed float. Now it's gradually moving to like a free floating system where you don't have. So the premise on which the World Bank is telling, IMF is telling the government that is based on if you're moving to a free float, you have to allow the market to find its forward call and supply itself its liquidity. Nigeria is not there yet. So because you don't have enough liquidity in the system from the autonomous FX market, the central bank has to periodically come in to intervene through either wholesale auction or retail auction.
All right, interesting. And Dangote is saying that he has 500 million barrels in his tanks, and he doesn't
500 million liters.
Liters, sorry,
500 million liters. Yeah.
And he's wondering why the marketers are not coming to buy from him. And we have importation of petrol still, and he's saying, "Hey, come take the stock from my tanks because it's costing me money." Why aren't our marketers buying petrol from Dangote that he has to keep up to 500 million liters in his tank farms?
First of all, Kofi, I want you to understand that the marketers use the inventory system of NNPC. So NNPC, against what the PIA provides for them to only control 30% of the downstream market, actually controls 100% of the downstream market. So the marketers answer to NNPC. They listen, they take their orders from NNPC. Okay? I'll tell you what, Kofi. The fact that Dangote has 500 million liters of PMS, in the last 3 weeks, I'm aware that 200 million liters has been supplied to the Nigerian market, is proof that there is a deliberate attempt to make Nigerians believe that Dangote is not able to produce sufficient quantity that the market needs. That's not true. That's false.
Okay, attempt by who?
Well, Kofi, the handwriting is on the wall. Because if you have PMS in Lagos and you're not able to, you don't want to take it, in September, they imported 1 billion liters of PMS or 814,000 metric tons. Now I know that for October deliveries, they are bringing in, some vessels have already arrived, some more are coming. They are bringing in 214,000 metric tons, if I'm not mistaken, or 352 million liters of PMS. Yeah, the handwriting is on the wall. So it's just like a deliberate attempt to make the government and make the people believe that the Dangote refinery is not able to do enough, so to justify imports. But today I can assure you that refinery in Lagos is able to do up to 32 million liters of PMS. And as a matter of fact, Kofi, the Ghanaian government has indicated interest to switch its importation of petrol from Antwerp and from Rotterdam to Nigeria. Ghana consumes about $400 million worth of transportation fuels on a monthly basis. That's about, if I'm not mistaken, $4.8 billion worth of stock on a yearly basis. Yeah. So if Nigeria is not serious and it doesn't get its act right, several other countries in the West African coastline are going to come and pick up this product and sign up the agreement, and he wouldn't have a choice but to deliver to them because he's a businessman.
All right. Interesting. Kelvin, please stay with me. We have a call coming through. Good morning.
Kofi, good morning. Jonathan is my name.
Yeah.
3 questions for your guests, please. Number 1, this crude oil in this country, who owns it? Number 2, does it not look like these IOCs are holding us hostage to our God-given wealth? Number 3, the contract with these IOCs in this country, which government signed it? I want to appreciate you, Kofi, and the guests for all you have
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much. Kelvin, over to you.
Kofi, the NNPC owns the share of the assets for the government, So, like I said earlier, deep offshore, IOCs own 40%, NNPC owns 60%. In the mid-waters, it's anywhere between 55 and 45 in that arrangement. And then the government has a higher stake onshore. If you look at the ExxonMobil Seplat deal, for example, the transfer means that now Seplat owns 30%, NNPC owns 7%, 70% of the 583 wells that Exxon has sold to Seplat. That's the joint venture agreement.
Okay.
Number 2, I don't think it's fair to international oil companies to say they are holding hostage because a lot of over time they basically put up carries to finance capex for development of wells and production on a daily basis, and in fact they are being owed. But there are issues on, are they obeying the domestic crude oil supply obligations? Out of their outputs, are they actually paying? Supplying to the domestic market like it's specified in sections 109 of the PIA, what they're supposed to supply. That's a conversation we need to have. But because it's important to be fair and friendly to investors, because they invest money to ensure that you can have outputs, and you also have to also section it based on the provisions of the law. So it's actually not fair to say that the IOCs are holding Nigeria hostage. What we should ask is, are they obeying the provisions of domestic crude oil supply obligations?
All right, Kelvin, I wish we had more time with you. Just quickly, in 30 seconds, if you can. Dangote is set to begin crude oil production before the end of this year. What impact do you think that will have?
The blocks 71 and 72, it's a welcome development. The FPSO has been prepared. I expect that by Q1, when maybe production starts on it, you should ramp up anywhere between 25 and 40,000 barrels of crude oil, at full capacity. I don't think the strategy is to go vertical and invest billions of dollars in increasing output for what he needs. The strategy is to focus on the refining business and source of crude oil.
Thank you very much, Kelvin. We have to go. I appreciate your time. We'll stay in touch.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Looking for ways to overcome challenges in your career journey? The perfect time to step into a world of opportunity is now. At Markets for You, a trust
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.